All right, happy Wednesday. If you are watching me live, then it's definitely Wednesday for you. If in fact you are watching the replay, I want to send a very special welcome to you and encourage you, if you are able to at some point join me live, to definitely do so. If this is your first time with me, my name is Rhonda M. Jordan, and what we're going to be doing today is we're going to cover how to create a lead magnet. So, if in fact you really don't know the steps and you know that you're ready to start creating an email list, well, the entry point to creating an email list is in fact a lead magnet. So, I always encourage anyone that is in fact watching me, make sure that you're watching with some way to take notes, whether that is a pen and paper, Google Doc, Notes app, whatever it is that you prefer. Just make sure that you get the information so that you can refer back to it at the point that you are ready to start creating your lead magnet. Also, if in fact you're on with me live, or even if you're watching the replay, I'd love to have you pop into the comments and just say hello. If you're comfortable with it, you can also let me know where it is that you are watching from. That allows me to say hello to you, and definitely make sure that I get the opportunity to acknowledge that you were here. So, if in fact you have any questions at any point during this broadcast, make sure that you drop them into the comments. I will take the time to answer your questions. And don't be shy, because the question that you have may very well be the question that several other people have as well, but you were the one with the courage to actually ask. All right. Okay. So before we get into this, I want to let you know that I probably should have done this training before I did last week's, because last week I talked about building an email list. And I want to point that out to you because this is a different type of training, but the two of them really work well together. So after you finish watching this one, you'll definitely want to go back and watch the next one, or the one we did last week, because that will help you understand what it takes to actually create a lead magnet. It's not a lead magnet. It's going to teach you how to create an email list, what types of things you need. I talk about landing pages and so forth. Today, we're specifically talking about the creation of your lead magnet. All right. So, as we go through this, I am going to be giving you 10 components 10 components of an in-demand lead magnet, because it's not enough to just create a lead magnet. It has to be something that people want. And there are specific components that you need to incorporate into your lead magnet in order to make it happen. Now, because I like to always say that as well as teaching, I'm also a student, and I always want this type of information to be fresh in my head, I created a lead magnet yesterday. And the reason why I wanted to do that, one, it was needed. It was something that I wanted to share with my audience. But the second thing is I wanted to be prepared for today, because I wanted to be reminded of the things you may be going through as you are creating a lead magnet. So as I go through, I'm going to also give you some of the things that I remembered as I was creating that lead magnet. So if that's okay with you, I'm definitely ready to get into the training. And it looks like Soft Pages Studio is saying good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon to you. And now we're going to go ahead and jump right into everything that we need to cover. So the first thing that I want you to remember is, if this is your first lead magnet, or it's been a while since you've created one, I want you to remember that your lead magnet, it really needs to come in, be something that's relatively simple for you to create. And the reason why I want you to do that is I want you to be able to get this thing done. I can't tell you how many times I have talked to one of my students and they've been working on a lead magnet for 8 months. It just doesn't take that long. Just like what I talked about last week, I said, I want you to set a 2-hour timer. Now, I want you to do the same thing with your this lead magnet that you're going to create. And I want you to make a commitment to yourself that you are going to create it this week sometime. So by, let's say, next Sunday, and I don't mean a week from this coming Sunday, I mean this upcoming Sunday, you're going to have this thing done because you're going to know what goes into it. And then it's going to be as simple as sitting down and creating it. Now, when I say give yourself a 2 hour window of time, that is start to finish, meaning that you are pulling the information from your head, things that you know to be important, and you're going to actually put it into a lead magnet. Now, there are some formats that are going to make that much easier. I'll cover that as we go through it. And if I were to forget to cover that, somebody please make note of that and put a comment in somewhere during the training and remind me to let you know what those are. All right. So the next thing that I want you to also keep in mind is that excuse me, I don't know if I'm trying to catch something or what's going on. So I apologize for that. And again, when you see me looking down, I'm looking at notes because I always outline my entire training for Wednesdays. But the important thing is to making a lead magnet in demand or being one that is in demand is making sure that it is something that either your audience has specifically struggled with, or if in fact you have used something like Answer the Public, which is a great tool for you to actually go and find out what people in your audience, the audience that you plan to have in the future, are going to be interested in. The other thing I want to put out there right away is when should you start creating a lead magnet? I'm of the opinion you should create one right away, even before you've started building an audience. But it needs to be a simple one because I don't want you to invest a lot of time in something that perhaps you're going to have to pivot on later on. The reason why I want you to start creating a lead magnet right out of the gates is as you begin to build the audience on social media, which will happen if you are posting content regularly, then you want to have a place to send them to. You want to be able to get them off of social media and onto your email list so that you can regularly communicate with them. Now, why is that even important? Because you don't own the social media platform that you are going to build on. If at any point that social media platform decides they don't like your content, they don't like something you said, they can close your account. And let's say that you have built your audience up to 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 followers or subscribers, depending on the platform. That's a lot of people to suddenly lose connection with. So having an email list allows you to move those people to a place that you will always have access to them. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, great. All right. Hi, Denise. I see that you are on. Thank you. As a matter of fact, I may use some of your content in this, so don't be afraid or surprised if I in fact do that. Meaning, giving you some examples, and then also Soft Pages says you have to really get into Answer the Public for sure. Yeah, if you don't currently have an audience to ask, that's a great place to start. And if you don't want to go to Answer the Public, another way that you can do this to find out what people in your future audience are going to be looking for is you can go to the comments section of a larger creator who has a similar audience to what you're hoping to build in the future. Go through their comments and look for questions that people are asking. Jot those down, and then you're going to figure out if, in fact, you are able to answer those questions. And if so, that may very well be the basis of a lead magnet that you can create. Okay? All right. So, I was talking about creating the lead magnet in a short period of time. The reason why I want you to be able to do this quickly is I want you to be able to get it done and get it set up and ready to receive email addresses from people that are subscribing to you. The whole thing that we're going to be focusing on right now is done. Done is better than trying to get it perfect. Remember, you can always go back at a later point and revise it. change it. You may find that that first email or lead magnet that you created that you thought would just pull in emails, it's really not what your audience wants. And because if you didn't invest a lot of time in it, it's no love lost. Put it on the side, create something else. All right. Okay. So now the next thing that I want to do is to start going through some of the common mistakes that people have. And I've kind of talked about a few of these, but I do want you to understand that there are specific things that you need to do to get this lead magnet to work. And these are the things that are not going to allow it to work. So the first thing is that if your lead magnet isn't clear, meaning it does not solve the problem that you promoted in your landing page, because remember, a landing page is what you're going to be using in order to get people to actually give you their perhaps first name and definitely their email address so that they can receive your lead magnet. All right. So you have to make sure that you're going to be clear about it. Now, some of the problems that new people that are first creating their lead magnets are going to go through is they try to solve too many problems in their lead magnet. No, a lead magnet is designed to solve one problem and one problem only. It is not designed to be a course. It's designed to be something that people can read through. If it's a PDF, meaning a guide or an ebook, they can start at this point of confusion, let's say, and by the time they get through your guide, they have their solution. It's not designed for you to go into, a full-blown layout of every single thing. That is not at all what a lead magnet is designed to do. The other thing is being too broad. Remember, when people are requesting this lead magnet, they're trying to get a problem solved. You said it was going to do something, it needs to do it. And if you are only talking in general terms throughout this lead magnet, people are going to kind of feel duped. Or I hate to say it, but they'll kind of feel like, well, that was a waste of my time. And before you know it, they're going to unsubscribe. The problem with that is you may have just not narrowed down on it. Maybe you know the answer, but you didn't narrow in far enough. Answer the question so that people can feel like they quickly were able to get that issue solved. And as I said, we don't want people unsubscribing based off of a single lead magnet simply because there's probably going to be something down the road that you would be able to help them with, but you miss your opportunity. So what I'm saying to you is this: with your lead magnet, in some cases, it may very well be, that whole thing about making your first impression. It's got to be a good impression. All right. Now, the second thing is that you're going to create the lead magnet for yourself, something you think people want versus something they actually want. That's why I'm saying this. Even if you don't have an audience, but you know who you want in your audience in the future, then you have to find someone that has an audience that is already in that same niche. And we're not going to steal their content. We're just going to look for the questions that have yet to be answered. Now, why is that even something that could be a possibility? Well, one of the things that happens is as creators start to get very large, and they have a post or a video, and let's say it happens to, get a ton of different comments, creators don't always have the opportunity to go back and answer each comment or respond to each comment, which means that somebody may ask a very valid question, but it never gets answered. If that person is definitely your ideal customer, that needs to be on your list. That's how you're going to know what people are actually interested in. A lot of times we think we know what people want, but we really don't. I can say this, it's happened to me probably 3 times now, but there have been at least three videos that I've created that really weren't even on my radar, but my audience asked for it, so I created it. So you really want to make sure you're creating what they want, not what you think they want. All right? And then the other thing, and I talked about this last week, and I'm definitely going to tell you again and again and again. Once you create the lead magnet, that's really only about 20% of the work. The other 80% is going to be promoting it because You can't assume that just because you put a link in the bio or you have a link somewhere that takes them to your lead magnet, that people are going to click it. They may not even look at that. They may just simply be seeing your content in the feed and they don't necessarily know that you even have a lead magnet. So you have to promote it. So, what I'll do is I'll give you some subtle ways to actually promote it as we get further into the training. Give me 1 second to drink some water here. Okay, mouth is dry for some reason. All right, so now let's jump into the 10 components of an in demand lead magnet. All right. So, the very first component, component number one, is a clearly defined audience. All right. So, when you are creating a lead magnet, it really needs to be focused in on a specific audience or person. So, let me give you an example. Let's say that you are into fitness and you've helped people lose weight. Women, let's just go with women. You've helped them lose weight. Well, if you say that your audience is going to be women, you're going to help women lose weight, that's way too broad. Why? Because women fall into all sorts of categories. There are 20 somethings, there are new moms, there are 40 somethings, there are women with injuries, there are women that only want to do low impact exercises, there are women that want to do high impact exercises, there are women that only want to do chair exercises. So you get my point. So, your audience might need to be women over 50 that are interested in doing chair exercises. And your lead magnet might then be something like 10 chair exercises to firm your upper and lower body. That is a defined audience. If you're trying to pull everybody in, you're going to pull no one in. Let me give you an example that's personal to me. When I am creating content, my audience are women that are 45 years of age and older who are interested in building an online business. Now, you notice I say 45 and older. I'm not necessarily looking to appeal to the 20 somethings. Now, are there people that are 20 years of age in my audience? Absolutely. Are there going to be women in your fitness that want to do fitness exercises from a chair in your audience that are 20? Sure, there will be. Are there going to be men? Absolutely. Are there men in my audience? Sure, there are. But you have to have a clearly defined audience in place. All right. So I always say, think in terms of one specific person. Think in terms of one specific stage. So, if you noticed, I talked about women over 50 who want to do chair exercises, and think about one struggle that they're dealing with. Well, if they want to do chair exercises, they're very likely experiencing something that's preventing them from doing regular exercises. Okay. So, it might be that they have knee problems, it might be that they have recently recovered from a surgery. So, you get the point there. So, to clarify or to give you that again, component number one, a clearly defined audience. All right. The second component is going to be one clear, urgent problem. All right. So let's say, for example, that group of women who want to do chair exercises, maybe they want to get in shape for their son's upcoming wedding. Okay. So you might even be able to say, I'm going to give you a 30-day chair exercise routine that's going to tone your entire body. Okay, so that's very clear, very specific. So notice I talked about one clear urgent problem, 30 days. If the wedding is 30 days away, they're going to be focused in on something. That's going to get some eyes on the content. Okay. And if you think about it, in that instance, there's always something coming up. It might be a high school reunion that's coming up. It might be a cruise that they're going to be taking. It might be a family reunion and they want to look fabulous when they come in. It might be a holiday party that they're going to be attending. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's going to be for that wedding. It's just The urgency has to be that 30 days, and that's what's going to make people want to do it. So the problem needs to be immediate or feel immediate, and it needs to be relatable. If you are into crocheting and somebody wants to crochet a baby blanket, for example, because they have a new grandchild that's going to be born in 2 months. Well, there's urgency there. They want to get it done. So hopefully you're getting the point on that. All right, so that was component number 2. You're focusing, I'm sorry, I should have said focus on a single pain point, and it should be immediate and relatable, something that they can in fact connect to. All right? Now, component number 3 is a quick win. All right. So you want to give them something that they can understand and implement fast. You want to build confidence and momentum. So if you think about it, let's go back to using the example of someone that wants to crochet a baby blanket for a child that's going to be born in, 6 weeks or something like that. Do we have something that they can implement fast? Well, if you're going to give them all of the instructions, and I'm a big believer in anything you give people, break it down into steps, give them strategy, something that they can follow. Do this first, do this first, do this. So that is something that they can implement fast if you're going to give them a plan, a 10-step plan to crochet this baby blanket in, 4 weeks so it can be ready in 6 weeks when the baby arrives. You want to give them something that's going to build confidence. So maybe what you do is you give them, something that's going to show them how to crochet just a small, 3 by 5 type blanket in, I don't know, 2 hours. 10 days, whatever, 10 days would be way too long. But you see what I'm saying? Something that gives them a quick win. And you show them if you can do that, then you can definitely create this baby blanket. Now we're going to get into the actual steps to create the baby blanket. So think about how you can do something or give them a quick win. All right. Okay. Component number 4 is a clear outcome or transformation. Well, if it's the baby blanket, completion of the baby blanket obviously is the transformation or the clear outcome. If it's in fact losing, let's say, 5 pounds in 30 days, well, we know whether or not that's been completed because they're going to be able to check the scale at the beginning and check the scale at the end. And if the 5 pounds are gone, then it's happened. So, you definitely want to give them something that's going to be beneficial for them. And in that case, I would even lean into, and I probably shouldn't go through all of this, but the way I would lean into that is I would be like, I want you to think about how you're going to feel 30 days from now. If you stay committed and do this exercise plan as I've laid it out for you. I want you to think about it. You're going to have thinner arms. You're going to have inches that are gone. You're going to feel better. You're going to be more mobile. You give them whatever is going to work, but you've got to set up the win for them. All right. Okay. So I'm going to stop for a second. Let's see whether or not, okay, you missed number 3. Number 3 is a quick win. What can they, in fact, do that's going to allow them to experience something quickly? Okay. So, for example, another thing that you could do is let's say that I had a training. A master class could be a lead magnet for you. And let's say that master class teaches them how to set up a landing page. And I walk them through and I do it step by step. So they start it with not at all knowing how to create it. And at the end of that master class, they know exactly how to create it. So that's a quick win. All right. I'm going to try and use as many different examples as I can throughout this training because my goal is for you to be able to hear the different examples and then apply it to whatever it is you do. Because I want you to always know that whatever you do, there's somebody that wants to learn it. There's knowledge that you have, and sometimes you don't even realize the type of knowledge that you have. You just need to learn how to break it down and present it to people, and that's the type of thing that's going to allow you to start building an audience. It's the thing that's going to allow you to build a great email list and ultimately be in a position to sell courses and digital products and master classes and everything else. All right. So you'll hear me try to use a lot of different examples. I'm going to go to my sister in law who is on. You guys have heard me. And if you haven't, in fact, you need to go and check out her channel. She's coming up on about 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and she teaches new homemakers how to keep a home. So for her, one of the things that she might do is create a zone cleaning. If you don't know what zone cleaning is, go check out her channel. She might create a zone cleaning guide that allows someone to clean their entire house in X number of days. So that might be something else that you can use. Okay. So just remember, quick win is important. All right. Next thing that we're going to go through is this. Number four, just so you remember, is a clear outcome or transformation. So remember, I talked about completion of the baby blanket, losing the weight, getting in better shape. That would be a quick win. All right. Now, the second or component number five is it needs to be simple and a simple and digestible format. So, in other words, you're not going to create an ebook that's going to be your lead magnet that's going to be 50 pages. Well, you know what? That's just way too much. But I'll tell you what, if you can condense it down to a 10-page guide, that's way easier for people to get through. They're not only likely to get through it, but they may go through it multiple times in order to actually get the most out of it. Now, I'm not saying your guide has to be absolutely 10 pages. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if you are trying to create something that is your lead magnet and it's too expansive, people are not going to complete it. They're going to be overwhelmed. And the last thing we need to do is overwhelm people. We need to make this thing simple. We need to make it something that they can get started on right away. That's why I'm saying to you all in this training, my goal is for you to be able to create a lead magnet that is done and complete by this upcoming Sunday. What is that? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that's a long time. I created a lead magnet yesterday in about 3 hours' time. And that was start to finish, research everything. I could have done it in less time, but I was doing something else. But I'm just telling you, it doesn't have to be expansive. So, here, let me give you some formats that I believe are great for lead magnets. Number one, checklists. Checklists are incredible, and you'd be surprised at the number of people that would love to have a checklist that they can put up on the refrigerator or put on their desk and be able to go through it. So, let's go back to the example of I'm not going to use the baby blanket because I don't know enough about crocheting, but let me go back to the chair exercises. You might say there are 5 things I want you to do each day. Okay. One is drink enough water. One is get some protein in. One is to make sure you stretch before you exercise. The fourth thing is going to be the 10-minute exercise routine that I have outlined for you. And then the last thing is going to be making sure that you write 3 things in your journal that you're grateful for. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of making this up. But that could go into a checklist. You also could have a checklist that's going to be by the week. So if it's a 30-day program, let's say, then it might be here's what you do week one. Checklist is laid out. Here's what you do week two. It could be something as simple as, and I've used this example in the past as well. When I get ready to go live, there are things that I do to make sure that I'm ready to go. So one of the things I do is I have to completely plug all of the cords in. I then restart my computer. I then make sure that my camera cables, once they're plugged in, they're nice and tight. I get all the lights turned on. I do a sound check on my mic. I could easily put that into a checklist, and that could be my lead magnet for someone that wants to learn how to do live streams. That could be a very easy checklist that I could create. And for someone that doesn't know how to do it, that would be perfect for them. Now, they would have to adapt it for the equipment that they have, but at least they know what they need to do. Okay? All right. So let me go back. I'm going to see if I've missed anything that I'm going to, let's see if I've missed anything I need to answer. let's see, creating something that we want is definitely the way to go. No, no question. Because if you're like most people, your audience is going to be a previous version of yourself, something that where you were a year ago or 6 months ago, and you figured some things out from there. So that could be perfect for them. All right. The next thing is got the clearly defined audience. We got that in. Yes, definitely. Zone cleaning guide. I need that for myself. So create it and I will subscribe to your lead magnet. All right. Yeah, and you definitely do not want to overwhelm people. I'm telling you, people are overwhelmed enough with all the other things that they have. Simplify things as much as possible. All right. And let's see here. Yours is how to avoid the mistakes you made when producing your first stage play. Absolutely. Now, think about it. Somebody who wants to create a stage play, they would love to have that. So that is definitely something that you want to get ready to go. All right. So I talked about the checklist as a simple, digestible format, but there are some other things that you can do. One is going to be a guide. So a guide, I like to describe it as a smaller ebook, a shorter ebook, if you will. Another thing could be a planner. So let's say, for example, you help people create 30-minute meals that are ready to go. Well, what do they need to do? What meal prep stuff should they do? That could go into the planner. What type of equipment should they buy? Should they buy a food saver? Should they I don't know. I'm not that great into this kind of stuff, but I'd be willing to learn. Another thing could be a template. So there are programs out there. Personally, I use ClickUp, which is a software that allows me to, it's like a for lack of a better term, if you know Notion, ClickUp is just one that works better for me. But you could create Notion templates, you could create ClickUp templates, you could create um, Canva templates would be another thing that you could create. You might create, some type of a checklist. If someone is in fact going to be crocheting a blanket, maybe there is a template that you could actually create that will help them stay on track. I'm not really sure. So, just kind of think of it. Here's another type of lead magnet that you could create. And this one, it's really not all that difficult to do, but it might take a little bit more planning on your part. And that would be like a 5-day challenge. 5-day challenges are great. Now, the only thing I would say about a 5-day challenge is because it does require a little bit more work, you might want to do that after you've created some other format. Okay. And then the other thing would be something like a roadmap. That's a do this, do this, do this, do this, do this type of thing. Okay. So it's kind of in steps as opposed to a checklist, which is just people can do those in whatever order they want to. All right. The point is to make sure that it is easy to consume without being overwhelming. Now, if you are a person that really is good in front of the camera, or you don't have to be great, just good, meaning that you can speak to the camera, a masterclass could be something that you create. Do 3 to 5 steps. You're here. This is where you want to be. I'm going to teach you the 3 to 5 steps. That's your lead magnet. Okay. All right. So, I want to go back to a guide for a second because I really feel like guides are important. And I'll tell you why. About a week ago, I did a short poll on my YouTube post page. It used to be the community page. Now it's called the post page. And I said, what type of digital product do you plan to create? I was surprised by the number of people that said ebooks. And then the other thing is, I was reading an article recently. I'm a big avid reader, and they talked about the number of people that are getting back into reading again. So I don't want you to think that guides or ebooks are things that people are not going to bother with. They will. But the difference between a guide is, again, because it's shorter, you can put that together quickly. A guide is typically going to have a cover page. I like to put in an about me page. I'd like to have a welcome page. maybe let's say maybe 5 to 7 pages of content. And then there's going to be a wrap up page. And then finally, a call to action page. That's your whole guide. And because remember, you're only solving one problem. And the challenge that most people are going to run into is their brain immediately says, well, I want to help them do this, or I want to help them learn that. No, you need to stay on task. You need to remember you're solving one problem and one problem only, which is why you can put together a guide in about 10 pages. Okay. All right. Component number 6 is going to be a strong benefit driven title. So you really want people to know what they're getting. So let's go back to zone cleaning. Zone cleaning might be how to have, and Denise, correct me because I don't know a whole lot about this, but it might be um, have a great, completely cleaned house in 7 days or whatever the time frame is. Now, let's talk about whether or not that is a strong benefit title. It absolutely is. My problem is I want to figure out how to clean my house. You're telling me in the title I can do this in 7 days, and you're going to walk me through it. Yes, yes. Where do I put my information in so I can get this guide? I absolutely want that. And bonus points if you throw a checklist in so that they can stick that up on the refrigerator as a reminder for what they can, they should be doing. So just remember that that title needs to speak to what they're going to be able to accomplish. It needs to speak to who this is for. So if I have a housekeeper, well, I probably don't need a zone cleaning guide because I'm not the one cleaning. You see what I'm saying? So that title has to speak to somebody who is likely to have that challenge or problem and who wants to solve it. Let's go back to the getting fit in 30 days for a wedding. Well, your title might be a 30-day plan or guide to losing 8 inches. Well, I know who that's for. It's telling me that, this, and then you can even drop a subtitle in if you don't think that it's clear enough as to the audience that it's speaking to. You could say in your subtitle, a guide for women 50 years of age and older who want to get in shape quickly. All right. So now that title is telling me, it's screaming at, who it's for and what it's going to allow you to do. So just remember that a strong benefit driven title, you want to speak directly to the problem or desired result. And you want to make it obvious at a glance. So if somebody is in the best shape of their life, they're not going to request your chair exercise guide. You see what I'm saying? We need to be able to attract the right audience, but we need to be able to repel the wrong people. And as I mentioned, if somebody's in the best shape of their life, they're not interested in your chair service, your chair guide. Chair exercise guide because they don't need that. They're probably doing different types of exercises. They're probably working out in a gym. They're probably lifting heavy. They're probably doing high impact exercises. So they know immediately that is not for them. Okay. Also, if you are saying crochet a baby blanket, a simple baby blanket in 21 days, well, somebody who's an expert crocheter knows that's not for them. They already know how to do that. They don't need a guide because they can probably do that with their eyes closed. Okay. So make sure that you do, in fact, give a lot of thought to your title. And this is important because a lot of people get their guide together. It has incredible information, but then they skimp on the title. They don't put any effort into the title. Well, the title, remember, in most cases is going to be the first thing that people see. And that's going to be the thing that's going to make them say, this might be for me. So you have to put some effort into your title to make sure it not only aligns with the content that's in your guide or masterclass or whatever else, but it also needs to pull in the right people. All right. The next thing, component number 7, is a clear next step. You have to get into the habit of adding calls to action. Okay. A call to action is nothing more than a step you want your audience to take. So this is the type of thing that you want to be able to do it, and you want to learn how to do it without it sounding pushy or salesy. Okay. So I want to make sure that you know that your call to action needs to be there, because otherwise people are going to get to the end of your lead magnet and they're like, oh, okay, well, that was great. So, but there's no next step for them to take. So let me give you some examples of calls to action that you can incorporate. It might be something like follow me on Instagram. It might be subscribe to my YouTube channel. It might be that you introduce them to a paid product that you have. It might be something like join my membership. So if you have a membership that you've created, that might be your next thing that you're going to move them to. It might be if you're interested in going deeper on this and you need further guidance, then book a one-on-one call with me. So those are things that you can do if you do one-on-one calls. So just kind of think about what your next step is going to be, because when you get them through that guide and people are feeling good, they like what you've shared with them, what do you want them to do next? So and I would probably keep it to one call to action. So because if people have too many choices, they'll get confused. And the whole saying is so true, confused people do nothing. And the reason for that is people would rather make no decision at all than to make a bad decision. So keep it real simple and move them to whatever the next step is. All right. One other thing I want to go back to, I forgot to mention this. I did say that you should put an about me page in your guide or whatever it is. If you're giving a master class, then you should take some time to tell people about yourself. Why should you do that? Because sometimes when people find your guide, they still don't know a whole lot about you. So, what you can do is incorporate an About Me page into your guide, which kind of tells your story. Let me just see. Hold on for me one second. I'm going to see if I can show you something without it. Let's see if I can do this. Give me one second. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so this is an About Me page that is incorporated into the guide that I was putting together. Okay, so, and I'll share a little bit more about you. This is not 25 engaging content ideas. What I tend to do when I create guides is I reuse the content, meaning the format, so that all I have to do is swap out the text and so forth. And this is something that I created yesterday in Google Docs. Now, why do I even want to share that with you? It's because I don't want you to think that the only thing you can create is something that has to be done in Canva. I've lately been doing, putting together a series of products, if you will, a single product with some additional items added on to it. Everything in there I've done in Google Docs, because Google Docs allows me to do quite a bit. So I want you to see that. So I'm going to go back to this for a second. And I'm going to show you what that About Me page looks like, so you kind of get an idea of what should actually happen. So here, I'm just saying, if you want to build a profitable online business, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. I just want you to see, you're just telling them what you used to do in the past, what you do now, how you can help them. And oh, by the way, let's get into the content. Okay. So that's where I'm actually guiding them through. Then in this guide, I actually give them the content, and then you see there's a blank calendar, there's a filled in calendar, and there's always a wrap up. So that's one of the things I want you to do, is to make sure that you have something simple that you can put together quickly. You do not have to use Canva. If Canva is too overwhelming for you, then use Google Docs. But as I said, make sure you have that About Me in there, because again, some people, this may be their first exposure to you. Now, as I mentioned last week, one of the things I do is when I send out the first email in the automated series, when people have requested my lead magnet, is I always tell them, tomorrow, check your inbox. There's going to be I'm going to introduce myself to you properly. Well, this is coming right away. Your lead magnet is coming right away. So you want them to be able to see or learn a little bit about you so that they can feel comfortable as to whether or not you can be their guide, okay, or their mentor, if you will. So make sure that you add an About Me page in there so people get to know you in addition to the call to action, okay? That's kind of where I was going, and I didn't put that in there. So I wanted to make sure I did that. All right, now the next thing that, let me go back and make sure I didn't miss anything. Any questions that you may have had here? All right. Yep, one call to action. Okay, so that's where we were at. That was the clear next step. All right, so now the other thing is a strategic design. Simple. Keep it really, really simple. You don't, that's why I was saying, don't feel like if Canva is overwhelming to you, don't feel like you have to use Canva to design your guide or ebook. Do it in Google Docs or Microsoft Word or whatever it is that you feel comfortable with. Now you want to have some simple design things in there, but just something that pulls the eye in and keeps people attracted to whatever it is that you're reading. You don't want to ever have just pages upon pages of text that's too overwhelming for people to read. Also, when you're creating your lead magnet, you want to have lots of white space. You want to have a larger font. So I would say, do something that's at least a 12-point font. You also want to make sure that you have spaces in between. If it looks like a novel, that's too overwhelming for people. So just make sure that you do that. I also like to sometimes include something like just line pages, if you will, or a line page that says your notes. So if people want to print it out and write something on it, they have a place to do it where everything is still all in one place. Okay. Now let's say your lead magnet is a masterclass. What could you do there? Well, you could have a workbook. And your workbook is going to be, it's going to go right along with the content that you're covering in your masterclass and allow people to actually write in things so that they can, they actually can stay connected to you in terms of having this book ready to go. They have their own notes and so forth. And all of these are just little things that make your content stand out, that make people remember you. Because the other thing that's happening is when you create a lead magnet, the one thing that you may not know is you're kind of auditioning. You're auditioning to see whether or not people ultimately want to start buying things from you. Because if you do a really good job of providing a solution in a simple format, now people are thinking, well, wow, this was free. I can only imagine what the paid stuff is going to be like. So put your best foot forward. Go above and beyond. Take the 2 hours to create a workbook. It probably wouldn't take you that long I can create a workbook in about 30 minutes, if that. It's not that hard to do. And it's not that I'm anybody special. It's just that it's just not that difficult to do. So I just definitely want to make sure that you are doing this. All right. So Denise says you get overwhelmed when you're designing things. I get that. That's why I'm saying don't go with something like Canva. Use Google Docs. It's just so much easier. And then let me see if I can do this without. I'm going to show you one of the things that I do that helps me. Give me 1 second to see if I can bring this up so I can make this easy for you guys to see how easy you can make how easy you can customize. Let's see, I might have to do it. Yep, here. I'm going to put this on my desktop here. And I'm only doing this because I want to not have to open this up. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen for just a second. And I'm going to show you how I would change out. Remember I said I tend to reuse the copies that I've created? Okay, so this is the cover page for this, okay? So all I have to do, and I want you to be able to see my screen. I think you're going to be able to see it. So all I would need to do is click on this. This is a picture that I created in Canva, okay? Now up here, if I'm moving my cursor over it, it says replace image. So all I'm doing is going to just simply replace this. I'm going to tell it to upload it from my computer. I'm going to go over to my desktop. I'm going to grab this, and it's automatically going to change it. That's how simple this is. So that's why I'm able to quickly reuse things. So you see, all I did was take the old image from another piece or another lead magnet I did, and I just simply changed it out by replacing the image. So that looks like a great looking ebook or guide in this case. So I just want you to think in terms of what can I do to add some basic changes or basic things to it that's going to make it look pretty good. And that's enough. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're going through things. All right, now the next thing is that your design should support clarity. It shouldn't distract it. So you don't want, like one of the things that I learned from someone is there are certain colors that if somebody is, oh, what is the proper term? I don't want to say it wrong, but if they have difficulty, if their vision is impaired in some format, there are certain colors that don't work well. And one of the people who subscribed to my channel made me aware of that. So I was glad to learn that. So you don't want anything that's going to be distracting. Black and white can be just fine, meaning the white pages, black text. That can be it. I would also say don't go crazy with fonts. Keep your fonts basic. You don't want a bunch of curly cues that makes it difficult to read. You want to keep your fonts pretty simple. I always say no more than 3 fonts is what you're going to be working with. Maybe one for the title, one for the subtitle, and one for the text. That's more than enough, okay? All right. Now, the next thing is going to be, let's see, that was number 8. The design should not be over-designed, if you will. Number 9 is going to be easy access and delivery. A simple opt-in page, smooth delivery, clear confirmation. My recommendation for you for that is going to be System.io. As a matter of fact, if you check the description below, I have a link to a video where I walk you through the entire process of creating a landing page. I even show you how to, there's another video that I have where I show you how to design a replicate, a representation, I should say, of your lead magnet, because you always want to give some type of a picture in order to make it look like it makes it real instead of it just being a digital product. So if you look in the description right below this video, you're going to see something that says create a landing page. It's a video. And then if you're interested in trying out System.io, which is a full all-in-one platform that will allow you to create landing pages, send out email messages, automatically will send your lead magnet and so forth. Check it out. There's a link below. Full disclosure, that is an affiliate link. You do not have to use it if you're not interested in doing so. I just like to let you know that all of that stuff is available below. That would be my recommendation. Now, let's say you already have something like StanStore set up, or you have, you're using like Gumroad or something like that. Well, then you may not necessarily need System.io. You can use a different email service provider that will allow you to send out your email, your landing page, or create your landing page and collect the email addresses, and then automatically send out your lead magnet once somebody requests it. There are lots of different ways you can go. You can go with something like Kit, which is an email service provider. MailChimp, that's also an email service provider. Flowdesk, that's another one. There are lots of different ones. I'm never going to tell you which one you should use. You have to put together the systems that are going to work for you. I will tell you, though, that if you're just getting started and you don't have any of this set up, definitely check out System.io. If nothing else, check it out to rule it out would be the way that I would tell you to go, because that can deliver your lead magnet for you. All right, then component number 10 is going to be a consistent promotion plan. As I mentioned earlier, about 20% of the work is done just creating the lead magnet. The other 80% is promoting it. Now, you have to make sure that when you're promoting things, that you are promoting in such a way that it does not feel like a hard sale. So I'm going to give you some language that you can use that will, and you adapt it for whatever your situation is. So let's say, for example, that my audience, I've done a video and I'm teaching people that, I've done the chair exercises and this is what I focus on. Well, what I could say to them is, if you're interested in having a guide that will walk you through a 21-day plan of chair exercises, I've put something together that I think you're going to like. There's a link right below this. You can grab a copy of it. It won't cost you anything at all, but it is definitely something that could help you. That's a very soft pitch. It is not at all a hard sale. And the people who want it will go and grab it. And the people that don't want it, they'll just move on. Now, another way that you can do that is you can, position it in such a way that, this is kind of like the next step. If you like this, you're going to really like the guide that I've put together for you. So if I were you, I'd grab a copy of it. It's right below. There's all sorts of ways that you can position it, but the whole goal is that you cannot or you should not come right out of the gates with your pitch without ever having given somebody something of value, something that they can use. So, for example, I'm going to go back and expose myself here, okay? If you noticed, I did tell you about System IO. I did tell you that there is a video below, but I took the time to give you information that's going to help you to actually create a lead magnet, something that could be beneficial to you. If you just simply come out of the gates with pitch, 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 you're going to turn people off. So, learning to promote really needs to be provide people with some valuable information, tell them about something that's going to help them. That's how you're going to pitch people. That's going to be your call to action, or whatever the case is. And you want to really make sure that, whenever you are in fact pitching people, it needs to be something that is going to be, that's going to genuinely help them. If it looks like it's all about what you're going to get out of it versus what they're going to get out of it, that's not going to work either. One of my mentors years ago said that people are tuned into a radio station and the call letters are WIIFM. What's in it for me? If there's nothing in it for them, they're not interested in it. So you need to make sure that you're positioning it as something that's definitely going to help them. All right. So hopefully that was helpful to you. And then the other thing is you can't post about it one time and assume everybody knows. I kind of mentioned that early on or on. All right. So let's see here if there are any other questions. You missed number 9. Let's go back and grab number 9, easy access and delivery. That's a landing page. Okay. And for those of you that may not know, what a landing page looks like, I am going to, let's see here. Let me show you an example. This is one that I use for, um, let's see here. Hold on, I have to get to a sample landing page so you can see what I'm looking at because I want you to be able to see what that actually looks like. Because the whole point is to make sure that it does not have, I'm sorry, give me one second here. And if, again, as I'm looking for this, if you have any questions, drop those in. Let me just have to show you on the video itself. Let's see here. So that you can see how that comes in. Let's see. Number 9, easy access and delivery. Absolutely. So let's see. Can I get to the page? I was on it last. Here we go. I think this is it. Okay, this is it. I got it now. So let me go full screen again. Okay, so this is a landing page. And if you notice, the only thing on this landing page is where somebody can enter their information to get whatever it is that you are offering as your lead magnet. In this case, I have a title here. Would put in just a very brief description of what it's going to do, a picture of it, which if you want to learn how to create this, I actually put together a video as well, and that won't cost you anything. And I'm pretty sure I have it linked in the video description as well. They put that name in, their email address, and they click get the report. This is a landing page. Now, the reason why that is important is you want to make sure that when you create your landing page that they're not getting distracted by things. They are simply going to put in their information, hit get the report, and then behind the scenes, you have automation that is set up that will send out the email that is going to contain the link to download your lead magnet. Now, this is something I shared in the training I did last week, but it's important enough that I share it with you here, which is after somebody hits get report on a landing page, it's going to take them to a confirmation page. A rookie mistake is that you put the download link to your lead magnet in that confirmation page. Do not do that. Here's the reason why. People are smart enough to know that they can put a fake email address into the landing page to get to the confirmation page, and then they can download whatever your lead magnet is. Instead, what you want to do is say, thank you for, we've received your information. Thanks for submitting it. Check your email inbox, and you can then download the copy of your guide. So it prevents people from putting in fake email addresses and still being able to get your lead magnet. So just kind of put that in your notes and make sure that you refer to that. All right, so we talked about, I'm just going to quickly give you all of the components again of a high demand lead magnet. Component number one, a clearly defined audience. Component number two is one clear urgent problem that your lead magnet is going to solve. Number three is a quick win. Number four is a clear outcome or transformation. And then number five is going to be a simple, digestible format. We're not overcomplicating anything, making it too long, and so forth. And then a strong, benefit-driven title. A clear next step is component number seven. Number eight is don't over-design it, just a strategic, clean design. Number nine is easy access and delivery to your lead magnet. That would be the landing page. And then component number 10 is a consistent promotion plan. Okay, so if you have those things in place, you can put those together, then you're going to have a great lead magnet. Now, here's a few things I want to share with you. Just know that your first lead magnet, you may not hit it out of the park. That's okay. Go back, modify it, make changes, whatever you need to do, and release it again. There's nothing wrong with releasing it releasing it again. And if you find that it just is a flop and you found something else that your audience is actually interested in, then make that your new lead magnet. All right. Now, the next thing is just kind of making sure that you know how all of these components are going to work together, so that you have to know that you've got to put all of these pieces together, those 10 components that I talked about, because that's what's going to work. You can't have a great lead magnet and then just a really bad title, because as I said, that's the first thing people are going to see. And so people are not going to download it. So you need to go through and make sure you've hit all 10 when you are putting together your lead magnet. Now, the goal of your lead magnet is to build trust between you and your audience, and starting the relationship, okay? Because remember, people have to get to know you. They'll then decide if they like you and whether or not they can trust you. If all three components are in place, that's what's going to allow them to take the next step with you, which may mean enrolling in your membership, becoming one of your students if you do one-on-one training, buying your digital products, enrolling in your master classes, buying one of your courses. So you need to make sure that you lay the foundation with your lead magnet in order to be able to get people to take the next step. And it also is preparing people for future offers that you're going to have. Remember that statement I made earlier, which was they're thinking, wow, if this is what I can get for free, just imagine what the paid stuff might be like. Okay. You don't have to be perfect when you're doing this. As a matter of fact, you're probably going to not have a great first lead magnet, but it's okay. That's okay. The first version will continue to evolve. And, the more you share, you're probably also going to get feedback from your audience. And then you can use that feedback to make it even better or to transition to something else. All right. So I definitely encourage you to go through this again. Make sure you've got all of the components in your notes and that you actually incorporate them. All right. So, any other questions as we're going through this? Otherwise, I'm going to get into the last segment I always like to cover, which is my mindset training. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have as you're going through this. I also like to ask you for one other thing, which is if you think that this information has been helpful, please give it some thumbs up. Share it with your business besties. Invite them to be on next week Wednesday's training call. Just so you know, the things that I train on. I train on obviously content creation, email marketing. I train on digital product creation and affiliate marketing. We're going to talk about some of that as well, because if you can incorporate all of those components into your business, you will not only build an incredible audience of people that can benefit from the knowledge that you have, but you're also going to create an income stream for yourself that is going to come in a variety of different formats. So if any of those topics are beneficial to you, make sure you're on the Wednesday trainings. Also, make sure you invite back any of your business besties as well. All right. Okay. So let's talk about some mindset training. Let's talk specifically about releasing, the imperfect or the feeling that you have to be perfect, the feeling you have to learn more before you can take the next step, the feeling that if I just learn this, then I can create my lead magnet. No, what I want you to be able to do is to get into the habit of failing forward. Failing Forward is a book by John Maxwell. And essentially, what he's teaching you is that you cannot look at the things that may have flopped for you and take that personally. A failure is nothing more than feedback. It's just, okay, well, that didn't work. So I need to do something different. That's the way you have to start to think about failure when in fact you do. Because if you are working toward perfection, first of all, that doesn't exist. Secondly, you're going to be waiting forever and you will never get a lead magnet out because you'll always think there's one more thing I need to do to it. There's something else I should add to it. You have to do it. What I will say to you is launch it, imperfectly, launch it where it is not, in fact, the best it could possibly be just to get it out there, and then ask for feedback and make it better the next time around, even if you just relaunch the same lead magnet. Okay. So, that is definitely something that I want you to do. Thank you so much, Denise. I appreciate that. And you've got so many things that you need to definitely get out there as lead magnets and so forth. And just know that when you all are creating these lead magnets, that, people are waiting for this information. You probably have knowledge right now in your head that you've acquired through trial and error or just general experience, and somebody is just going through ChatGPT or going through Google or Bing or Gemini or whatever it is they're using, trying to figure it out, and it's in your head. You just need to put it together. So stop waiting on perfection. What we want to do is release it, get it out there, let the world see what you have. And that in and of itself is going to help some other people because, it's the whole thing of, just keep helping people. And eventually you're going to build an audience and your bank account is going to reflect all the things that you've done to help other people. All right. So, just kind of keep that in mind as we go through it. I hope this information has been helpful to you, and I'm excited to teach these things to you. So, as I mentioned, if in fact you want any of this written down, um, I also have a lead magnet that teaches you how to create a lead magnet. That's linked below as well. So no excuses. Remember, if in fact you are committed to creating your lead magnet by Sunday, just give me a thumbs up in the comments. I would love to see that because, I want to see that you're actually taking notice of the things that you have in your head and being willing to put it out there. And I know it can be a little hard to put something out there. It can be a little intimidating, but do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway is the type of thing. All right. So with that being said, we are wrapped up for today. I appreciate everybody who was on with me live. You guys were incredible today. I definitely appreciated you being here. And if you're watching the replay, definitely make that same commitment to getting everything out there by Sunday. I'll be back next week, Wednesday, with an additional topic that's going to help you. And we're going to make 2026 the year that launched the start of an incredible business for you. So thanks for being here with me. I hope you have an awesome day and an even better week. Bye.